So I was involved in developing a charter and a declaration that became the Peace and Security Declaration that was launched with great fanfare in Dubai. The other side of my work was involved in working on Sudan, where we were trying to build a forecasting and early warning system for 48 million people. And what I experienced was this sort of phenomenon of cognitive dissonance, that on the one hand, I was working with quite a lot of donors and experts on this declaration leading up to the COP. And on the other hand, the donors were running away from Sudan. They were freezing all of their programs to support weather agencies, to support community climate adaptation. Who were the donors? I won't name them, but some of them were bilateral, some of them were multilateral. And we thought, we can do better, but we need to be smart about how we do this. So we carried on working with our partners, the Sudanese Met Agency and our community partner, community-facing partner, Sudet. But in the meantime, I thought, what can we create that does three things? First of all, it injects some kind of a steel spine into the slabware of rhetoric that's coming from the donors, that gives them some resolve, that stops them blenching and running away, that gives them, some fire in their bellies. First thing. The second was and this had come out of a meeting I'd had at the UN, where the UN said, we've stopped our programs, we've decided to create a framework and a handbook for these countries. And I said, that's very nice. We can always do with the odd handbook. And I thought, okay, how can we create not yet another framework or a handbook? Can we create something that documents our work with our partners to build the early warning systems? Can we do not just storytelling, but story doing, to pick up on Daniel's phrase? Can we create a new format for story doing? And the third thing was, actually, nobody seems to care about Sudan, right? Not even my kids care about Sudan, right? My friends and family don't care. The UN OCHA was launching appeals in the shadow of tension in Gaza, but in the major shadow of the war in Ukraine. And I thought, how can we make people care? How can we create not just empathy, but purposeful empathy that may over time create a new financing model for our work, right? It could be philanthropy, it could be public donations, it could be blended finance, who knows? But we need to start with purposeful, engaged empathy. So those were the three objectives of what I'm going to show you now. This is a kind of mini premiere. It's a 7-minute film. I'm kind of slightly nervous because this is the first time we've shown this to a group as large as this. I've got 3 other colleagues in the room. One of them's a member of the cast. We'd love your feedback and a bit of a sort of a reality check on how we're doing on those 3 goals. So with that, could I ask Camille to roll the film?
Azima is an Arabic word which means determined or resolute. It is often used to describe someone as undaunted in the face of a challenging situation. In Sudan, war has left millions displaced, starving, and without basic services. Extreme weather events, including floods and heat waves, are hitting people in conflict areas hard. Early warning information can save lives and can help protect the little that Sudanese communities have salvaged. But how do you create an early warning service for people starved of both food and information? And how do you deliver extreme weather warnings in a country where communication systems are in ruins? This truly is a daunting challenge. Meet 5 exceptional Sudanese individuals displaced and scattered to different parts of the globe by the ongoing conflict. They have taken refuge in Kenya, Egypt, the UK, and the UAE, but they are all united as a team. They share a vision of building a simple, accessible emergency weather service that helps the people of Sudan protect themselves. In the coming months, they will face multiple obstacles. Azima is the story of how they will bring life-saving weather information to the people who need it most. And Azima is the story of our team of 5 and how they will need to remain undaunted by every challenge they encounter.
Mohammed Al-Sheikh. I'm climate expert. I'm also a numerical weather prediction expert from Sudan Meteorological Authority. When I was in Khartoum and the conflict started, I was with my family, my children, and was confusing where to go for 2 months. And there is no news what's happening and what will be in the next days.
I consider myself one of the lucky people who have been able to move out of Sudan and find a living somewhere, even if temporarily. But this usually gives you the feeling that you have left behind some people.
I was isolated at a time. I was isolated, and working on developing this project brought me back to the mainland, I can say.
This project gave me the opportunity to pay something back for these people. I feel that I am really lucky, and those people are still vulnerable. So I just want to give them something.
I'm Dalal Hamoudi from Early Warning Unit, Sudan Meteorological Authority. I'm working on the impact-based forecast on calculating thresholds, triggers for some extremes that are affecting our countries.
Lately, the flood rates are increasing in Sudan, and many people have been affected by it, and to the tremendous extreme level.
Sudan is affected by the conflict. Again, the situation of climate communication is affected, and we have lost the access to our headquarters, and we are working on a rescue plan to give the information. They are now in a worse situation. They are displaced, but lacking climate information will make them suffer more, because the crisis will be double crisis.
We have that gap to raise the people on the ground.
To fill this gap, our team, Mohammed, Dalia, Isra, Dalal, and Abel Gazim, will be using a unique approach called Daraja. Daraja brings community leaders and weather forecasters together to create weather warnings and a communication system that meet the requirements of people deprived of normal public services and information channels. Daraja means degree in Arabic and bridge in Swahili. And Daraja is the name of the new emergency weather and early warning service for Sudan that our team is racing to build. Their task is urgent. They need to construct this critical information bridge for their stricken country before the heat, rains, and floods come back to afflict their communities.
Providing information with actionable advice to the vulnerable communities that are suffering from the conflict, and it empowers them to protect themselves against climate hazard.
This why I think this project is very important for us, that it's community-based. It will be like a link.
I think now it's clear for everybody. We just have to start and go forward.
Follow Azima in future episodes as our team of 5 strive to launch the Daraja Sudan Emergency Weather and Early Warning Service before the extreme weather season strikes their communities. Up next is the daunting challenge of Dalia. How will the research effort she is leading accurately capture the weather information needs of millions of her people and her beloved country?
Great, thanks, Mark. And I think Ezra is in the room. If you can wave your hand, stand up. Do speak to her later. And it's great to see this. Are our slides moving forwards? Yeah, okay, great. Can you hear me now? No, hello? 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 I'm going to have to shout in. Oh, is that better? Hello, can you hear me? No. Now can you hear me? Is that working at the back, Sheila? Okay, now I can't drown on all the people who are still networking over lunch, but please come and join us. My name is David Howlett. I'm a senior advisor with the Climate Champions. I'm going to do a bit interaction. Has anybody heard of a climate change high-level champion? Put your hand up. Yeah. Who's not heard of a climate champion? Okay, one or two. Well, the climate champions are appointed by their presidents for different COPs. So my current bosses are the climate champion for COP29 and COP30. That's Dan Lashopi from Brazil and Nigar Apadari for Azerbaijan. So I work in their team supporting their Race to Resilience campaign. Who's heard of Race to Resilience? Oh, it's getting better. Also, they were behind the Resilience Hub. Who's heard of the Resilience Hub? Who's not heard of the Resilience Hub? Okay, great. And it's really big thanks to the Resilience Hub for giving us space for this session. So that's a bit who I am. I also want to know who is in this room. It links a bit to Mark's presentation. Who's working on climate risk data? A good handful. Who's working on solutions to adapt and build resilience? Yeah, I think that's almost most people. Who's actually working on getting knowledge and information to people at the front line? Or you're still keeping your hands up. So this is what the Resilient Planet is all about. So I'm going to address 3 questions before I ask Sheila to come and speak. Where did it come from? What is the challenge it's trying to address? And a bit where we are. So it came about from a conversation with my Director of Resilience Adaptation at the Climate Champions team with Justin Keeble from Google.org or Google Cloud. They were interested how they can be part of Race to Resilience. We had a design sprint with Google in New York, and it led to the challenges that we have lots of information on climate risk. We also have lots of information on early warning. We have a lot of information on solutions to build resilience, but the challenge we're facing is people aren't getting that information. So the aim of the Resilient Planet was how do we get information on climate risk solutions so that people can make decisions. And we had a big discussion, which user group do we start with? And Google was saying you have to be really clear, David, you can't get everybody in the world going at once. Do we start with business leaders, and there's some here in the City of London? Do we start with city mayors? Or do we start with people at the front line? And we started with community leaders in informal settlements, AKA slums. And really good news, Google.org, which is the foundation of Google.com, not the commercial wing, gave us a grant. And big thanks to the partners in that. It was the Global Resilience Partnership, Stockholm Environment Institute, Spark, SDI, Slunders International, CR2, and Marco, you'll have to, the University of Chile, is Climate Change Research and Resilience, but he will be speaking later. Oxford University and Owner, the software company, so big thanks to them. A couple of plugs before I give it to Sheila. One thing is we want to do, and you heard before, how to empower people living and working in formality. And Her Excellency Rosanna Mubarak, the COP champion for COP28, wanted to move on this agenda, particularly after meeting women leaders from informal settlements in Nairobi. So we've led to setting up a working group on informality. So there's a big invitation to join that group. It's not to talk, it's to deliver action on the ground and to demonstrate that at COP30. If you haven't seen already, the presidency set out how it's going to deal with the action agenda on Friday. There's 5 axes. There's one around cities, adaptation, resilience. There's one about social inclusion and development. And you'll hear more about these things. The Champions team will be working closely with the presidency. But can we arrive in Berlin? Even if we don't get to Berlin, can we, by Berlin, setting up lots of actions? And I'm now going to hand over to my friend and colleague, Sheila Patel, who will perhaps say a bit more about why what we're doing is important.
Thank you. Thanks, David. I spoke earlier in one of the sessions in which we talked about the right of every individual to get new knowledge, to start looking at how to build resilience in their homes, in their neighborhoods, with their families. And we all need to acknowledge that the huge deficit of information, knowledge, action, resources that people who live informally face is not something that's easily going to be sorted by some philanthropic support from somewhere to some people. So one of the things that community women said to us, which forms the basis of not only Roof Over Our Heads, but this particular initiative, is we need to know in advance how to deal with the crisis that we don't understand, and we need to know it before the crisis occurs so that we can protect ourselves and our children. And in the discussion, what came out was that most of them built their homes in a way that provided them some shelter over their heads. But with extreme weather, this was not enough. It was vulnerable. The wind could blow the roof off. The rains completely destroyed it, and there was nothing called waterproofing the house. And the heat just made it impossible for people to live. So extreme weather became the main focus of how to transform their homes. So we campaigned, so these are the books that we produce called Roof Over Our Heads, in which we work with women in communities, the people who do their construction work, the people who provide them materials, to think of a new way of doing things so that their homes move towards being weatherproof. And we've moved away from a traditional philanthropic model where we'll ask money for somebody to go to one neighborhood. Instead, we have a plan that allows us to set up 100 learning labs in 20 countries with the view of understanding what is generally everybody's problems and what are specific problems in different countries and different neighborhoods. And as a result of that, we're able to find solutions. Now, 100 labs sound great, but they're nothing in relationship to the fact that there are over 3 billion people living informally around the world, and this number is already growing. So what we hope that the Resilient Planet Initiative can do is do 3 things for us. There are many things they can do for everybody else, but for us, we're saying, how can women living in informal neighborhoods with smart solutions be able to share this with others so that a woman living in another city can get access to it? COVID taught poor women all over the world how to use their phones. Most of them have old phones because their husbands and children want the new phones. But they've learned how to take those phones and use them. And one of the things that they did to the Google team was, how come you don't have any answers to our questions? Google has answers for so many things, but it doesn't. So we're looking at ways by which our work and other work which is related to producing resilience in very vulnerable communities in relationship to extreme weather will be able to aggregate the data that we collect, aggregate the data that comes out of anticipating extreme weather, to find out places where people can find new designs, new materials, new construction techniques, and produce a new architecture of producing resilience amongst those who are very vulnerable. And the whole idea is that that data should also be available to researchers. We want there to be a democratic exchange of knowledge. We hope that the researchers who use this data will put stuff back into this portal. And we're hoping that with AI and all the new language translations and everything, we would be able to reach out to more people. And India, where we have started, this is a very good example. We have 29 languages. So if we can do it with 29 languages, we can do it with another 30. So that's what we want to get out of the Resilient Planet Initiative. And we hope that this is interactive and that all the modern technology that we have access to, which is transforming our world, has some positive impact on that of communities. Thank you. David.
Thanks, Sheila. I think I now invite Namrata to take over and present what is the RPI, and it's its first public outing. It is a beta version, and there's going to be invitation and discussion. How do we take this forward? So, Namrata.
Hello, everyone. I'm Namrata from Global Resilience Partnership. We, along with the many partners that David mentioned, took on this initiative last September. And I'll just give a very brief introduction on what the platform looks like right now and where we want to go. So overall, the RPI initiative basically began with a very clear purpose to provide localized digital access to climate resilience, not just risk, which we see a lot of data platforms do, but also adaptation solutions, and then help exchange those solutions. The main focus is on co-creating, and hence we have too many partners, and we want more collaboration on this initiative as well. The way we designed it was the partners we included not only provided us with data, but also helped us design and also helped us link with the community who would be using it, but also providing the solutions that could be exchanged with anyone else across the world. So mainly, just over the 8-9 months that we were working on this, we started off with co-designing with the communities in Nairobi. We brought in folks from informal settlements in Nairobi, as well as Tanzania and Uganda. And we got their information in terms, got their inputs in terms of what they would like to see when we say this is a platform for adaptation and resilient solutions. So what is it that they would like to see? Obviously, one of the most acceptable and insights what we got was a very simple interface that works on low bandwidth. Also multimedia support, because not everybody understands written language, and also location-based filtering. So some of these, there's many. There was a list of about 100 asks or requirements that the communities focused on. And this is what helped us start off the initiative itself. So here is where the initiative, the platform starts. We have the Solutions Hub, which is hosted on a website. This one lists all the adaptation solutions that we have up till now. But because we just started, it's a very simple list of 30, 40 solutions, along with information that we've also gathered from our partner initiative, We Adapt, that hosts about 900 to 1,000 case studies linked to adaptation solutions. And you can scan and start interacting with the website itself. So very quick look at what the solutions page looks like. You can sort by hazards, by different kinds of tags. You have regions, implementation level as well. We also have a temporal level, as in what kind of solutions are you looking for? Are you looking to prepare for an extreme event? Are you looking to respond to an event just happening right now? Or are you rebuilding post a event? So there's very simple solutions. What we as a community think are, these are very simple solutions. Everybody knows this. Who doesn't know about rainwater harvesting? But when you go on the ground, this is something very innovative for certain communities. There are many communities who do this, but there are many who do not. And that's where the exchange part comes in, that there are communities who have very simple solutions that could be replicated in some other region, and this platform does that for you. And these are the case studies I mentioned from the We Adapt. So we not just specific to community level solutions, but also other research that helps build these kind of processes, and also information on different participatory methods to undertake these kinds of solutions gathering. So if you go to the website, very simple. Because this is built for the community, there's just 5 things that we ask for, which is a title of your solution, very quick summary, some location information, multimedia, and a brief note on the solutions as well. And this is the Exchange Hub, which you can access via Telegram. It's the Resilient Planet bot. You can, if you have Telegram on your phones, you can search for it. And it works as individually as, you don't need to really connect to the website. Everything on the website can be accessed on your phone. And this was one of the asks of the community, that it should be accessible on my device. I don't have a computer, but many people have mobile phones. And nowadays, many have smartphones as well. Though one of the asks obviously is to not make it just smartphone access. So that's where we go next. But at present, you can just share your location or not if you don't want to. And then it gives you some solutions based on your location. It takes you to different questions, which are, what kind of implementation level do you want to look for, the temporal level. So whatever was on website gets filtered over here. And you can select a specific category of solutions. So for now, we have information on extreme heat and inland flooding. Soon as people start populate, we would have more categories as well. And then you can rate some of these solutions directly on the bot itself. And if you go to the end, you can see you can add a solutions from here itself. If you don't want to access the website, you don't need to. It's all on your mobile device. So that was the platform itself. But where RPI started was with the Oxford University's initiative on Data Hub. So it started with a risk viewer and a finance lab, which is where we are integrating climate risk data with the solutions platform itself. So going forward, we would have more interactive layers of solutions, but also risks to be viewed together. So this is the kind of information that's more of a regional scale, but we would like to bring it down to more local scales so that it's more useful for communities directly. In the next phase, obviously we want to reach out to millions of users. Everybody on the planet should be able to use it. We want a more easier way of data sharing, a solutions taxonomy that supports filtering, accessing these, and also try and embed some sort of adaptation metrics into it as well. And start looking at interaction with other platforms that already exist and make it a bit more smart and scalable, get in more AI now, because everything is moving over there, and improve a bit more of discoverability, but more of a localized community-driven interface, and start investing in refinement of the digital infrastructure as well. It's very basic right now, but we want to make it more, truly accessible and actionable, especially on low bandwidth. And finally, in the next phase, we started off with East Africa, but we obviously want to focus on the LAC region as well as Asia. As I mentioned, get into more AI side of things, but also looking at, if you were here for the previous sessions, we had a representation from Give Directly. So something like that. So if there are solutions populated over here, but someone else wants to implement it, they can directly go and ask for, I need to implement this solution. Can you give me $500? Can you give me $1,000? And we want to integrate with platforms like Give Directly, where a solution could directly be supported via this platform. So this is it from the platform side of things. If you have any quick questions, we can take them, but we have more interactive session where everybody gets to interact with all of our partners and speakers. We can go directly into that as well. Okay. Okay.
Thanks very much. Oh, it's okay. You've shown us how to upload solutions. Do you have a team that are moderating solutions before you post them to make sure they're safe?
Yeah, at present, it's just us partners, but we want to set up a system which is more of an advisory content moderators. It's up to set up now, because right now we don't have that much interaction, but as soon as it starts, now that we've launched, as soon as we start getting more, we would set up.
It's a really important question. It's also who owns the data as well. And if we're successful and we have millions of users, we're going to be, so we're going to have to be really interested in how we do this, whether it's through like a TripAdvisor approach, whether you have a 1-star or 5-star review, so very much making a peer type of review, and also the ability to share photographs and videos, but we need to make sure that the IP, intellectual property, stays in the public domain, and particularly there'll be a whole range of users. This is public property, we'll come to the end, but invitations, how can we do this at scale? It's easy to do it when you've got, say, 30 solutions, but not when you have a million solutions or variants of.
Yeah, I see the problem, and I like that idea that it's reviewed by the people who use it. But unlike TripAdvisor, the risk is not a bad holiday. The risk is you don't survive. So I think some kind of curation is probably quite important.
Agreed.
Thank you. Joseph Ganga with the Africa Climate Energy Nexus, providing the underlying data that will power this kind of work. One of the things that I learned at the first Africa Climate Summit, where I served as a CEO, was indigenous people and people in rural areas don't want us to give them solutions. They also have experience with floods and with droughts, and they want to be able to share their expertise and complement what we are offering. Does your platform allow for them to suggest what they think should be the solutions for themselves?
Yeah, actually it does, because I mean we are categorizing it as a solution, but what we aim is to get that kind of information over here. So, and hence we don't have too many filtering contents that you have to check these many boxes to get your expertise or your input in. You can just, if you have an experience with drought and how you what kind of knowledge you used, you can just put up that information over here. But obviously we also have guidance on who can, you have to have an authorship name. So if you want to be anonymous, that's fine. But if you really want credit also, there's authorship credits given as well. So that, and then there's commons creative information on how that can be used as well. So we definitely want more indigenous people to interact with this as well. Okay, I'll take this one, but after that, we have more interaction anyway, so I'll just I ask you guys.
I'm happy to hold off my question until later as well, if you want to move forward.
No, please go ahead.
So I'm Usman. I really love this presentation. In fact, so many organizations say they're going to do this kind of work and haven't seen the work output yet, so it's fantastic to see it. So just to celebrate that. I used to work at a company called Arifu, which in Swahili means to inform or to be a trusted advisor. We managed to scale digital information to 2 million people across East Africa, Southern Africa, and West Africa, mostly farmers. So a lot of this sounds familiar, except obviously a different topic. Yeah. The thing about that is, I guess a lot of times there was always the question of how does this actually become relevant to their day-to-day decision making? Because I guess a lot of people in this room are thinking about medium to long-term risk, whereas the individual is thinking about what do I need to do today, tomorrow, maybe day after, what's the rainfall going to be for my crop that I've landed in the ground. And I'd love to hear more about that, I guess, over time as they take up and some of those challenges that come with, yes, the information is there, but how do I actually apply it in my day-to-day? Make it really relevant to the way I might do a Google search for something. How are they using the system over time as well? Yeah.
That's our expectation to build that interoperability as well, because a lot of community members told us that even if we have solutions, when to use it. For example, responding to an event. So most of them wanted an early warning systems embedded into this as well. So for now, it's not, but that is one of the priorities to start. And we don't want to build our own system, obviously, but there's already early warning systems existing. We just make them available along with the data. And so if there is a flood incoming, and if the level is not too high, it's low, and you can do it with your own expertise or some local, your own household solution, then it filters out for you that you're in a low-lying area. Even this kind of minimal response would be useful for you. So that's the level we are thinking as well. So, and also hope that you guys can interact more. But in the next session, because it's also post-lunch, we are staying away from a panel discussion. And we're going to, all of our speakers will divide into 3 groups, 1, 2, and 3. And what we want is each of them will be a conversation catalyst. So team 1 will be Sheila, Joe, and Mark. And you sit with what group? Team 2 is David and Suranjana and Roberto, and Team 3 is Sukaina and Marco. So what we discuss is this. How does it benefit people? So we answer these two questions. How do we expand to more users? And how do we focus on more useful solutions? And how does it interact with different groups? So if you're in your chairs, you can just move around one of these. But if you're standing way over there, you could also come in over here and interact. I'm at the back now, but thank you everyone for providing your priorities and your information. But we'll just ask David to close this session.
Oh, sorry, Namrat. I hate to break into your conversations. I'm going to wander around and just thank everybody for coming. One message, I'll probably repeat it several times, so I think you'd say it 3 times if you're a politician, is get away from the feedback, is we now want to develop the resilient planet. So if you're interested in being part of this process, whether it's expanding users, expanding data, and solutions. Obviously, there are a whole range of challenges in this, but we don't have my email or Namrata's email, but where's Namrata? Yeah. Namrata, I'm just saying, if people want to know more about the next steps on RPI, do they contact you, and can you give them their email? So we'll circulate that. Perhaps if you can write it on the board. We will be talking to google.org about the next step. Roberto with Nicola Ranger are looking at how they're going to expand the data hub and the finance hub. So I think some of us will be around for a bit longer. So do talk to us, but invitation is join. Can we make this thing work? Thank you from Namrata, and there's her email. So thank you, everybody. And can someone tell me, is it tea and coffee now? Because yeah, okay, it's break for tea and coffee and more networking. I think sometimes at events, and there's one event I went to yesterday, it was nameless, we went on for about 2.5 hours, and we all wanted to talk to each other, and then it ended, So go and talk to each other, and hopefully you've met new people in the groups. So thank you.